MiLaysia Fulwiley is allegedly taking a visit to LSU soon, and they are apparently a front-runner to getting her. Whoever runs the skim account has made a lot of early transfer reports this year that end up becoming true. For example, they were clowned for saying TCU was the front-runner to get Olivia Miles before everyone else, only for it to end up happening. They also had the 4 schools that Gianna Neepkins was going to visit, way before she actually started traveling to them. And considering the fact Miracle Shepherd was a last-minute transfer, makes me think there's a real possibility of this happening. If Fulwiley does indeed go to LSU, I fear MiLaysia Fulwiley is making a massive mistake. I was one of the very few people that were against Hailey Van Lith going to LSU right after their national championship run. Fast forward 2 years later, it was clear she never should have gone there. If MiLaysia Fulwiley goes to LSU, it's going to be a very similar experience. I don't understand this for either side. LSU's biggest benefit from this is keeping Fulwiley from going against them. But that's really it. What LSU really needs is what they have been missing the past 2 years. A pass-first point guard who can also be an amazing defender. They also need a true center. Fulwiley doesn't fill either role. On paper, MiLaysia Fulwiley, Michaela Williams, and Flaujae is the most talented big 3 in the country. We're talking about 3 high-level first-round picks. But Fulwiley's playstyle doesn't mesh with theirs. Anissa Morrow and Angel Reese were able to cover up a lot of issues with running a 3 shooting guard lineup because they are some of the greatest rebounders to play the game, but they aren't there anymore. Fulwiley and Flaujae will make an unstoppable duo in transition. I'm not going to lie about that. But the half-court offense is going to look brutal against tougher competition. You have 3 players who all want the ball in their hands, who almost exclusively score off the dribble. Michaela Williams is the only one out of the 3 that has consistent playmaking ability, and it's still not enough to be a point guard full-time. There's nothing on the court LSU can offer that South Carolina doesn't have. She already plays in packed arenas, she won a national championship, and went to back-to-back title games, and despite the narrative, she did have a lot of freedom to create at South Carolina. MiLaysia Fulwiley at South Carolina had a usage rate of 33%. To put that in perspective, that's the same usage rate as Juju Watkins. She also led the Gamecocks in field goal attempts. The problem was that Dawn would have to bench Fulwiley in the games where she couldn't fix her defensive lapses and turnover issues. Fulwiley isn't going to have any more freedom under Mulkey's system than she did at South Carolina. When you look at the long list of guard transfers that came to LSU, the only one that looked better than where they initially came from was Alexis Morris. Cheyenne Day Wilson was a senior when she went to LSU and had the worst season of her entire collegiate career. Miracle Shepherd showed some flashes at Mississippi State, but rotted the bench at LSU, and now she is in the portal. Kaylin Gilbert went from being praised for her clutch shot making to some fans wanting her off the team towards the end of the season. Then obviously the Hailey Van Lith situation. No need to rehash that. MiLaysia Fulwiley is more talented than all these players, but that's not going to stop her from having the same issues they did. She'll play more minutes at LSU, but she's not going to have the freedom or have the green light to take a million shots like people think. Flaujae Johnson is in a draft year. I'm sure she sees a lot of these big boards playing on her name. She ain't about to sacrifice for Fulwiley. She's one of the best players in the nation, and still isn't getting the respect she deserves. So she's going to have a lot to prove. Michaela Williams won Freshman of the Year over Fulwiley, and just came off a first All-SEC team season. There's no way she's going to take a back seat to give MiLaysia Fulwiley more shots. We're talking about one of the best pure scorers in the country. Kaylin Gilbert is also coming up on a draft year. She's under a lot of pressure to perform after her down season, so making MiLaysia look good is not going to be a top priority. Not to mention LSU has a stacked recruiting class coming in. Grace Knox and Zakiya Johnson especially aren't to be taken lightly. I think they're going to get a lot more burn in the rotation than people think. And that's not even considering the fact LSU is heavily recruiting Sarah Williams. If LSU gets Sarah, Fulwiley is literally going to be a 4th option. I just don't understand this. There's so many teams where she would have been the number 1 option, and the team would have been built around her. Or teams where she could have been the 2nd option, and be able to play through a lot more mistakes. But that's it for this video. I know I'll get called a LSU hater, Mulkey hater, this, that, and the third. But there's a much higher chance of this being a Van Lith situation than Fulwiley being better off than she was staying at South Carolina. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.